Hey everyone, this is Yusuf from Crafting Clouds, and in today's video I'm going to be looking at a popular topic that I come across for a lot of my Method clients, which is being able to extend the Method platform to allow for their customers to place orders on their own without the business owner having to go in and do it themselves. And by doing that, where you're essentially what you're doing is you're creating a marketplace for your customers. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be building a marketplace for our Method customers. So let's begin. So what you're going to do once you're logged in is you want to make sure you have items. And for most of you, you'll probably already have this in your items app in Method because it's syncing from your QuickBooks file, which probably already has items. So once you have items in there, you're going to want to go into your items profile. So click into an item. And you're going to see this little picture that I have set up for a bag of candy. This is just an example that I have. So this is actually a field that I added to the items table. And what I mean by that is if I go and I click my initial profile icon and I hit account settings and I go to tables and fields and I go into the items table, if it's not there, just search for it in the search bar. And then if I search item picture, this is a picture field of the type picture that I've actually added to the items table. So you're going to want to first add this field into your items table. Once you've done that, then you're going to go back to your items app and you're going to open up any one of these inventory items. Now, if you're selling services, then it's a non-inventory item. But basically, when you open up your inventory item, you're going to want to customize this screen. And when you customize the screen, you're essentially going to want to go here into this plus tab. And if you go underneath this field section, you'll be able to see the item picture field within this section. Now, I don't see it on my end because I've already added it. And where I've added it is right here. So I've just gone ahead and I put it above the name. You can easily just add a row above the name by right-clicking that row that you want to add a row above and just click insert above. Okay, so I've already done that with the item picture, so I don't need to do that here, but I just wanted to show you how you can go about creating the field and then adding it to your item profile. Once you hit save and close, okay, if you have multiple users that are going to want to have access to this, you're going to want to make sure that you actually set this to live for all your users. And what I mean by that is when you customize the screen, it doesn't ask for it for me here because it's already edited. I've already customized it. It's going to ask you if you want to make a copy of it. You're going to say yes. When you make that copy, it's going to set that copy to you, the user logged in. But then once you're done editing that copy, your version that you've created, you're going to want to set to live so that everyone else reaps the benefits of what you've added to this items profile. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to click this down chevron right beside the items header here. Hit manage app. Okay, you're going to scroll down to the screen that you have edited, and if you're not sure what screen it is, you can just go back to the screen that you edited, and the screen name will be in the browser tab right here. So for us, it's new edit inventory part with an asterisk. I always put an asterisk in there. It usually puts like a parentheses too, but for me, I like to just put an asterisk. It's my OCD. I think it looks cleaner and neater. So I go ahead and I hit manage app. I go and I find that screen, which is right here. There we go. I hit the ellipses icon. I hit versions. And then you'll notice it has this little person icon right beside the version 2. That's to basically say that this is the version that you're currently on, the user that's logged in. Now, another user that's on your team may log in. They're not going to see this here. They're just going to see version 1 and this emoji next to version 1. But then they're going to also see version 2, which is draft, but that's not their version. They're not looking at that because this indicator is not there. This indicator is next to their version 1, which is currently published. But because this is in draft and I want everyone else to see my changes, I'm going to hit the ellipses icon. Or no, sorry. Let me go back. Oops, a little misstep. I'm going to hit manage here. Okay, and I'm going to hit this publish icon and I'm going to hit publish again. It's asking me, are you sure? And there we go. Now that I've published this version that I've created, The next time someone logs in or the next time they refresh their screen or re-enter that screen, it's going to now show that item picture that I've added. Okay, as you can see here. Now, let's go ahead and add this item picture as well to our items grid. Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to customize the screen. Okay, I'm going to edit this. I'm going to create a copy. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go into my columns here. I'm going to add another column. And the column I'm going to add, the field that I'm looking for is item picture. I'm going to scroll it all the way to the top because I want it to be at the beginning. I want to remove this altogether. And let me also set the alignment to center here. And let me also set the pixels here to a fixed amount, which is, I'm going to say 100 pixels. You can play around with this. This is a little bit of trial and error, but more or less this should be okay. I'm going to exclude this from mobile. No need to have the item picture for our mobile if you're logged into mobile, but for desktop it would be nice. I'm going to hit close. I'm going to hit close here. And there we have it. We have our item pictures also appearing on the list here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I do feel like this column is taking too much of the screen's real estate. I'm going to go back into columns. And like I said, it is trial and error. I can go back and I can move this down to 30. And I can go back and just look at how it looks now. A little bit better. Let's try one last adjustment here. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say 15. Hit save and close. Okay, that's much better. All right, I think that actually didn't move much, but that's fine. You can actually play around with this. And the way it works is because I'm assuming this is set to pixels and everything else, is set to percentages. And the percentages equate to 100%. So really what I should be doing is I should actually be removing some of the percentages here. So let's say I want to remove, let's say account. I'm going to move that. That's not even showing. So what's showing is 20%, 20% on desktop. So that's 10, 20, 20. That's 60. Okay. Let me actually move this into a percent here. So let me see if that makes a difference. Now, a quicker way of doing this is just duplicating the tab. I always actually like this as a best practice. That way you can just refresh the tab. That's much better. Okay, so when I changed my unit of measure from pixels to percentage, it worked because all the other columns were also set to percentage. So it could be confusing to rendering this grid when you have columns set to pixels and some to percentages, which makes sense. Okay, now that I'm happy with this, I'm just gonna go into the screen, the page tab in my properties panel. I'm going to remove the two parentheses, put an asterisk there to make the screen title a little bit neater. Hit close. And now I'm going to set this to live as well. Okay. There's my screen. I'm going to hit versions, manage, publish, publish. Okay. Now, how do we access this marketplace? Where do we go? So where you want to go in this marketplace actually would be a screen called, if I go back into the contacts app and I hit manage, okay, the screen it's going to be called, you'll see there's these prefix screens called guest. So there's guest customer transactions, guest customer you contact, and guest customer home. The reason why, and there's more guest pages here, screens here. These all are dedicated to something called the Method portal, which is an area out of the box that anyone who's a customer in Method or any Method user could basically go ahead, as long as a contact of theirs has an email address assigned to their profile, they can go and they can send them a portal link, which gives them access to the Method portal, where their customers can go in and review things like upcoming, amounts that are due, overdue amounts, historical transactions, whether it's an estimate or an invoice, stuff like that. That's all available to you out of the box, and I'm going to show you that just in a sec. So if I go into one of my contacts, I'm going to use this Yusuf test contact here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go, you'll see here I have a portal link. This is that portal link I was referring to. So this link is automatically going to take me to the Method portal. Okay, so this is an area as if I was logged in as that customer. Now, the way that they would log in to the Method portal, it's very easy actually. They would go in. Let me see if I hit sign out here. So they have the ability to sign in with their Gmail. So if their email address is the same email address that is being logged in the system, they'll be able to sign in through there. Or they can sign in easily with a one-time code using their email address, and right away it'll go ahead and it sends a code and it tells you to check your inbox. Very standard stuff. Okay, so let's go back. Let me just tour this portal for you so you're more familiar with it. Let me sign in with Google. Okay, let me see here. Oh, yeah, it's expecting my other email. I wasn't sure which email to use there, so I apologize. No, I don't want to go into my email. Let me actually just go in here. So I did receive an email to my inbox. I'm just typing in the code here to sign myself in. And there we go. We are back in the portal. So as you can see here, there's open transactions where I can view a transaction history. So I have one invoice. This is a test invoice, of course. I can go into this invoice, view my invoice in here if I want to. I can print it. As you can see, it shows me basically a PDF copy of the invoice. Okay, as you can see, it's incomplete because it's a test invoice. It's not an actual invoice. I can go into recent transactions, all transactions, order history. These are different views. Due or outstanding. I can go back to home. Okay, and it has basically my profile information here where I can go ahead and I can click edit, and I can add a title here if I want to. Okay, just to update my profile details if I want to. And this will automatically update the contact in Method. So the Method user won't have to go in and cross-reference anything. This is basically essentially empowering your customers to go in and do the data management themselves, which is cool. So this is a tour of the portal. This is where we're going to add that marketplace. And where I see the marketplace being added is as a separate navigational option right next to recent transactions. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go back into Method, go to Dashboard, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a blank screen for now. Okay, so I'm gonna hit Manage, and associated with our guest screens here, we're gonna create a new screen, and we're gonna call this Guest Order. Okay, it will be based off of the contacts. Okay, we're not gonna change that, and we're gonna click Create. Here's my screen. We're gonna close this out now. We have the screen. We're not going to do anything to it yet. Now what I want to do is I want to go and hit my profile icon, go back into account settings, go into portal. And in portal here, this is the settings for that portal area that I was basically showing you just moments ago. In here, we're going to add another nav option through these settings here. So we're going to go hit View Navigation. See, you'll notice that those nav bar options show up here, home and recent transactions. We're going to hit new for a new link. We're going to call this order, okay? And the screen that we're going to choose is contacts, guest. I don't see my screen here, and I think I know why. Yep, I know why. Sorry, let me go back. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our screen that we just created. I did forget one small step. In this guest order screen, click the ellipses icon, hit security here. Method doesn't know that this is a portal screen, okay? And it needs to know that because then there's different security preferences tied to it versus a standard Method screen, which is by default only allowed to be accessed through your Method users. So we actually have to go here because we're not building a screen for our Method users. We're actually building this for our Method customers, okay? So the customers to the Method users. Okay, so here we're gonna say allow screen to be shared on portal, allow guests to view screen without signing in. We're actually going to not do that. We're gonna require that they do sign in order for them to order because we want to be able to put an extra layer of security. We don't want just anyone going in and signing in on their behalf or being able to access that link, right? That link that you share, if it falls into the wrong hands, there should still be a sign-in page so that if it does fall into the wrong hands, we're not having unintended users access this area, okay? Now, I mean, you could, it's your preference if you want to send that link and it just to be open and it bypasses the sign-in pages altogether. Totally up to you. But as a best practice, I'm going to leave that off. So let's go ahead. We left that checkbox checked. Let's hit save. Now, if I go back to my contacts, okay, let's go back to, our settings, account settings. Let's go to portal. Let's go to navigation, new link. If I go and I type in, this is going to be the caption of the link that we're going to create, which is order. We're linking it to a screen, not a website. And the screen that we want is, there we have it. Our screen appears now because we set that security preference. The icon that I want for here, let's choose any icon. Let's see. This is my OCD kicking in now because I actually want it to be an icon that somewhat indicates that this is a marketplace. So let's see here. I could do this payment gateway one, which is like a hand holding a credit card. Let's see what else we have. That could be my top candidate for now. But let's see what else we have first. I don't want to spend too much time. Cue Jeopardy music in here. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna do the payment gateway one. Payment gateway. Oh, there. I'll put this little cash register here. Perfect. Visible to everyone. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. Done. Finito. We're done building the marketplace app. I'm sorry. I'm just joking. We're far from done. All right. So now, if we go to our portal. So you notice how I had my portal open the whole time? This was actually, I did that on purpose because it's easy for me now to quickly go to the next tab and view the front end changes that I just made. So if I hit refresh here, boom! There's my screen. Order shows up right there with a little cash register right there. Pretty neat, eh? But we still haven't created anything on the screen. So we want to be able to do that, right? So what I'm going to do here is, let's go ahead and let's go back. Now there's a couple ways that you can build your marketplace. There's I think a much better way, which I'm just going to do, but I'll briefly talk about the other way or even show you. Why not? Whatever. It'll take me 2 seconds. Okay. So one way of doing it, and it's not the ideal way. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to waste my time. I don't want to misguide you guys with stuff that you're probably not going to use. I want to give you the best practice so that you're not wasting your time. So let's just not do it, okay? That was an ad hoc decision that I made right there, and I'm proud of it, and I stand by it, okay? All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back into our screen. So we're going to hit manage through the ellipses icon on the contacts app. We're going to scroll back down to guest order. We're going to hit customize. Okay. So this is now this screen. I'm just going to add 2 sections here. Okay. This is kind of best practice. I'm setting up the skeleton of the screen. And my section headings as a best practice, I always put section header, section main, and section footer. Okay. Now what we're going to do, I'm just going to hide my section header and my section footer for now and just leave the section main visible. And what I'm going to do is I want to set up now, so I want to actually add a grid. Okay. And I'm going to make this 2 columns. And I'm going to set this column to 50% because I want to have my list of items on the left-hand side. This is how I'm envisioning it. Then when I click that list of item, I want to be able to see the details of that item pop up on the right-hand side. And then beneath that, in the right column, underneath the item details on the right-hand side, I want to have the shopping cart. Above or beneath. I'll play with that a little bit and I'll see which one I want to do. All right. So now we're going to go ahead. We're going to hit columns. And what I want to show in this grid is, oh, I forgot to do something. So because the screen was based off of the contacts, right? Any element you drag onto the screen will also be based off of contacts. So screen table is based off of contacts. See, this little page means the settings of the screen properties. It's based off of the contacts table. Any element I add here will be based off of that same table. But for this, we don't want it based off of the contacts. We want it based off of, excuse me, that was a false alarm. Off of the item table. There we go. Now, this is going to be kind of important for you. This is really your personal preference. You want to do 5 items at a time, 10 items at a time that you want them to see, 30, 50. You know, you can go wild. You can do 50 at once, okay? And then there's a bunch of settings here. So this hide settings is for exporting the page. It's also to show and hide columns on the end. So I'll show you what I mean in the front end, what that means. Hide paging. Maybe you don't want to see how many, pages of items you have. I don't know why in this scenario. This doesn't really matter. You have a go to page. I don't see why this would be helpful. I mean, the go to page is basically you're entering in a number. So you're on page 1 and there's 10 pages total. You want to jump directly to page 5. You're going to enter 5 into that little area and it's automatically going to jump to page 5 for you. And then you're exporting. So it exports into a CSV file for you. Let's just make this a solid 10 rows per page, okay? Now that we've set it up on the items table, when we go back into columns, we're going to see items fields here now. No longer contacts fields. And what I want to add is item name. I want to add item picture. There's our field, item picture. I'm going to actually remove the caption here because I don't want that there. Name we can leave. I want to put item price. Item description. Okay. And for here, we're just going to put price here. And then description as the caption. Okay, make this nice and clean. What else would we need here? I'm wondering if there's anything else that I'm missing that's not shouting in my face. I mean, there's a bunch of custom information you can add here. So if there's more item information that you would want here, listen, you can add a bunch, okay? You can create your own custom fields, put them on there to show for your customers. That's fine. But I'm going to leave it like this, okay? I think these are the ones that you'd mostly use. Now I'm going to just call this grid items. Okay. I'm going to hit save. And let's go and see what this looks like now. There we have it. We have our items here. Now I want to apply to some filtering here because I don't want to see all items. Okay. So what you can do to apply a filter is I can go into views. You may have some items that are no longer active, are inactive, right? So you're going to go here and you're going to say is active, which is a standard method custom field, which controls what items are active or not. And you're going to say you want to make sure that you're only seeing your active QuickBooks items or items in general in method, okay? And now if I go back and I hit refresh here, there we go. I only see my active items, which is intended, okay? And now you'll see there's a bunch of other stuff here up top, which I mean, I don't think you're going to need, right? Now you might want your users to control what columns to see, if that, I doubt it. You might want them to download this, I doubt it. And then there's a search area, which obviously is helpful. I think that would be really helpful, so we can keep that. So what I'm going to do actually, and I'm actually going to remove these headings because these headings are pretty self-explanatory, and I might reorder these columns a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me go back here. Columns. Let's move the description up top here. And let's also set our widths to make it look a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to do them in percentages. Okay. Name, I'm going to put here, I'll put this as 20%. Description, we'll put 30%. So it's 20, 30, 60. Okay, and then this one, we'll put another 10%. Let's see how this looks like. It doesn't equal to 100, that's fine. I don't think that's a problem. That's much better. Okay, now let's hide some of these options up top. So right here, we're going to hide settings, hide export, and hide go to page. I don't think we need that. And then for our columns, we might want to have a checkbox column, not going to lie. So we're going to actually add that. And I think we can hide the column headers just to make it look a little bit more sleek. For our filters and views, we can hide our view selector. We don't need that, but we're going to keep our search. We're going to not touch that. Okay, let's hit save. Let's go back. Much better. That looks much better. Our checkbox column is kind of large. Let's go and play with that a little bit. So maybe it's because I didn't set it to 100. So let me go. I'm going to say 10 here. I mean, sure, I'll do 30 here. I'll do 30, 60, 80, 80, 90. Let's see. So now I left it to 100, 90%, 90 of it. Ugh, I can't talk right now. I left it to 90%, not 100% of the entire screen, but as you can see, it actually made the column checkbox a lot smaller, which is perfect. That's what we want. Okay, great. This is looking good. What I want to do also is maybe just add a little padding around this area. So push this down. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put this in a section. So put a section here. All right. And then I'm just going to call this section items. Okay. And let's go down and we have left, right. I'm going to set padding top, bottom as well. Let's hit save. Okay. Let's maybe put the padding up here. Let's no, that's fine. Okay. Let me play around with this a little bit more. Let me add 2 times the top padding so we can push it down a little bit more. Okay, that's better. All right. So now that we have our left side set up, how do we want this to work? Well, there's 2 ways. We can either click the item itself, right, and have it add to show its details, which I think is what we would want. So if we click it, it shows its details on the right. But then also, if we want to add it to cart, you're going to want to be able to add multiple items at a time, right? You don't want to have to click each one. So we can go like this, add, and click add to cart, and I'll add all of those at once for you. Maybe you just want to do one at a time. We need to also add a quantity field. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up our right side. Okay. First things first, let's set up our item details section. So let's add another section here. Let's make the padding consistent. So we had 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. We're going to call this section item details. All right. And then in here, what I want to do is I actually want to add, excuse me, a text label. And this is going to be an empty label here. We're not going to specify anything here. This text label is what we're going to populate with formatted text of our items details. Okay. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go back to our grid and we're going to click row click here. This opens up the action editor, which is essentially the main control, like the bread and butter of this method platform. This is where a lot of the magic happens. So in here, what we're going to do is we're going to tell Method that when we click an item, we want it to grab its details and populate it on screen for us. Okay? So, excuse me. Let me go ahead and say assign value through action result. Let's say we want to put in an expression here. Okay? Now it renders HTML, so if you have any front-end web development experience, you can actually put HTML in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's put in an H1, and let's put in the item's name. And how we're going to do that is, let's go back. We're going to retrieve the item's information. So, on row click, item, record ID. So we're grabbing the record ID of the item, and we're saying if the record ID of this item that we're clicking is equal to, so we want the item record ID to be equal to the record ID of the item on the grid, which we're clicking, right? So, sorry, that might have been confusing. Let me re-explain myself. We're saying we want the record ID in the items table to match. We want to take the item or look at the item where the record ID for that item that is found in the items table to equal the record ID of the item that we've clicked on in that grid. Okay? So I think this was the right one. If I go back, yeah, that's the right one. That's the grid right here. You can see because it has the prefix of the items grid that I named it, and then all of the columns showing up, and we just want the record ID. So now it's going to pull all the item information, and we want the item's name, we want the item's description, we want the price, and I'll just leave it at that. So results, item name, results, item description. And this is just best practice for naming your variables. So I'm taking this information and I'm creating it and I'm storing it in variables. So item price. And then as a best practice, I'm just going to leave a note here. So get item details. Done. Now I can go back to my expression and reference those variables. So we go back here. All right. So that's our item name. H1, and then I want a new line, so I'm going to say break. Okay, that's going to move it into a new line. I'm going to say item description. All right, and I'm going to say break again. All right, and then finally the price. Okay, and then for this one, maybe I'll do for the item description an H3, I want to say. And then we're gonna, and if you're confused by this and what I'm doing, don't worry. I mean, this is just like HTML, standard HTML elements. It's pretty straightforward. If you go on to sites like W3 Schools here, they'll teach you what kind of HTML elements you can use. You know, so if I go to HTML, it tells you everything that you could use here. Okay, this is you can also ask ChatGPT if you don't want to learn HTML. You can just tell ChatGPT what you want in HTML, and it'll shoot it up for you. But this is just me just doing some formatting here. And then we're going to say H2. This might look really ugly, by the way. I have no clue, but we're going to try it anyways. Item price. H2. Okay. And we're going to say result item info. So on row click, we're getting the item info. So store into result item info. And then we're populating that text label that we put on screen. So we're going to choose update controls on screen within our action editor. We're going to choose text here, and then we're going to reference result item info. Populate the result item info on screen. Let's test this out. I hope this looks better than I expect. We'll see. Not bad. Definitely could be nicer, but we'll just leave it at that. Okay, as you can see, as I'm clicking each item, it's updating the details. Now, why do we need this if we're already seeing this information here? I don't know. I just did it to show you what you can do with your marketplace. Maybe you don't want to show your description within the grid, and maybe you want to show the description outside of the grid because you want to maybe tighten up the screen a little bit. That's fine. Maybe you have more details that you want to show, but you don't want all those details within the grid itself so that the grid is spanning across the entire screen. This is how you can leverage this area to show those details in a nice, clean way. All right. So now that that's done, let's do our shopping cart. So our shopping cart, we're going to add another section, and we're going to call this section sect shopping cart. Can't spell right now. Okay. And for this, I'm going to add some, a little formatting to this because I want this to look a little bit nicer. So what I'm going to do is top border size. I'm going to put this to 2px. The style, I'm going to put primary. Top border style, put solid. All right. And then maybe the shopping cart as well. I want to put the background color to something nice. Let's try secondary. Excuse me. Let's hit refresh. Ugh. What's that? Okay. We'll make that better. See, a lot of this is just building as you go along, and that's the beauty about Method, is that you can trial and error. See what you like, what you don't like. So that background color did not work. Let me actually set the section width to 400px for now. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, it made it smaller, which is better. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to add some rows here. Actually, what I want to do is I'm going to add a label. So I'm going to add text here, and I'm going to call this shopping cart, and I'm going to set the font type to title. Okay, and then the text color I want to put to maybe navigation. Let's see how this looks. Let's hit refresh. A little bit better. Okay. If you hear anything in the background, that is my son. He just got home from daycare, so he's just a little bit excited. Okay. This is a little bit better. I mean, we can make this look a little bit nicer for sure. Okay. What we're going to do here is now we're going to add, okay, within here, let's add a text here. I just want to check something out. I'm going to put test, save. Okay, so it stays within the container. I don't know if I like that. I think I might turn that back off. And maybe what I'll do instead is I'll change the top border to maybe 4px. Hit save. Okay. And maybe what I'll do here is okay. Maybe I'll do Let's try something else. Let's say background color. I'm just playing around with the colors right now, see what I like, see what I don't like. Let's try this. Silver. That's better. Yeah, that's nicer. Okay, we'll do that then. Okay. So now we have our shopping cart. I did just add a text in here just to test how it would look like. Now what I want to do is I am going to go ahead and add an action here. So what we're going to do is within our item details, I'm going to add an add to cart button. So I'm going to add another section here. Okay. Put 2 columns. I'm going to add a text input for our quantity. So I'm going to relabel this quantity. Okay. And then we're going to add to cart. Okay. Background color primary. And then this I already know is going to be too long. So I'm not going to set the width to full. I'm going to say fixed. Fixed, I'm going to say 100 px. And I'm going to shrink this as small as possible. I'm going to move the add to cart and cell alignment to the left, and then just add left padding here to give it some space. And then, oh, let's hit undo there. I'm going to also remove the padding here on the overall section. Let's hit save and see how this looks like. Okay, we're getting there. Now what we want to do, maybe sell the cell alignment. Padding, I'm going to add top padding of 1. That's better, okay? Now, if you don't want the add to cart and quantity and stuff like that to show up right away, that's fine. This is a work in progress. We're going to refine the experience as we go along. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to build out the base functionality and then do the refinements afterwards. Okay, so now I chose box of chocolates. I want to choose the quantity. So let's say we want the quantity of 4. We want to be able to click this add to cart button and for it to show up in our shopping cart below. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, oh, I can just remove that. Within our add to cart button, we're going to say, we're actually going to do it by the checkbox. So we're going to say, basically, if you click this checkbox and then you click add to cart, it's going to add it to cart. If you don't click the checkbox, it's not going to add anything. So let's base it off of that so that you can work off of this checkbox column pretty much to add your items to the cart, which I think is better. On our add to cart button, we're going to go to that element in our designer, click the click click option to enter our action editor. Sorry, sometimes my brain goes faster than I speak. Now, within this add to cart button, when we click it, what do we want it to do? What we want it to do is look at first what was checked off in that grid, right? So we're going to say loop through grid, check. So we're looking at the items grid. Only select rows that are checked. We're going to check that off. We're going to add a note here, say loop through checked items. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to grab the information for each item. Okay. And we want to, let me just look back at this experience. So if I go like this and I select 4, add to cart, it's going to do 4 of each one of these items and then add it to cart. So what I also want to do is I want to assign an action result. Okay. And we're going to call this results cart result cart. So this is going to be our variable to basically shoot out our descriptions of all of our items with the totals and everything in there. in this variable. So we say result cart final. Okay. Start result cart final. And then in here, we're going to grab, I'm going to loop through here, and we're going to say expression, and we're going to say here, I'm going to put bolding here, and we're going to say loop name. So we're going to grab the item name within our loop. We're going to apply bolding to it. Then we're going to do a new line. So with this break element here. Okay. And then we're going to add the quantity. So we're going to reference that quantity control, not the loop, because this is referencing the item information. We want to reference that quantity input that we had on screen. So I'm going to put quantity here. And we're going to say 4. And then we're going to put X, so 4 times to resemble how much we're ordering. And then a space, a dash and a space. And then we want to do our item description. So sales description. All right. And then I think that's it. That's going to be our result item info. Okay. And then now that we're grabbing the item info, grab result item info, we're going to add it within our loop to that empty cart final. Because imagine this, you're going through the loop of all those items that you've selected. You're grabbing the details from each one of those items, and you have to store those details into a final variable that's going to show you everything as a summary at once. So we're going to store it into our cart final. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do character function. Okay. And we're going to join our item info with our cart final, and we're going to store it back into our cart final. Okay. I think one thing we forgot though is we also need to get our amounts, right? We forgot that. So we want to multiply our quantity that we've specified with the item's price, right? So we're going to do items price, and then we're going to call this result item price. So get result item price. We also want to store that within our item info. We don't want to forget that. So we're going to say quantity 4 times sales description, and then break. We're going to do another break. And then I want to bold the item price as well. Okay. And then we're going to put item price. So we're going to go back to that variable that we created for item price. I'm actually going to remove the slash here because we want to encapsulate the variable with bolding. So that's why we do, this is just HTML syntax here. So now we have bolding there. We're going to hit back. Now we got our result item info. We're storing that item detail now into our overall template to show in the shopping cart. And we're going to say add to result cart final. This is all happening within our loop, which is important. Once the loop is done, once it's gone through and it's grabbed all the item details for all those checked items, what do we want it to do afterwards? Well, we want it to show up here within our shopping cart. So we're going to go back. We're going to say update controls on screen. And let's make sure we have an empty label for us there. Okay. We're going to remove test. Okay. And now that we remove test, it's now called text1. All right. So we're going to go back to our add to cart and we're going to update text1. Text1 with our cart final. update shopping cart. Let's see how this looks. Let's hit close, let's hit refresh. Right, so we're gonna select many. I'm gonna select 2 items here, hit 4, add to cart. Not bad. Now, we forgot a line break here between the total amount of the first item and then the name of the second item. So let's go back and let's tweak that. Let's go back here. All right, let's go back into our expression. So we saw that the amount, item price, we just want to add another break here. Done. Okay, so now if we retry this, I'm refreshing portal screen. Let's add back those 2 items. Hit 4 as our quantity. What? Oh, I didn't close my editor. You always gotta close your action editor so it actually saves. All right. Now, if I hit 4 here, hit add, that's much better. But I still want it to look cleaner. So what I'm thinking is, I'm not gonna add the quantity beside the description. I'm actually gonna add it beside the name, okay? And I'm also gonna put a little spacing in between the items here, okay? So it's doesn't look so crammed and so hard to read. So let's go here. Let's go to add to cart. And let's modify our template a little bit. Okay, so let's go name. I'm actually going to add. Okay. We're going to add this. We're going to add quantity here. So we're going to swap out. We're going to say 4. We're actually going to do quantity 4 times X. All right. Then the item name. So loop name. It's the item name right there. Okay. Then we have that. We're putting that all in bolding, right? That's fine. We're going to close off our bolding here. All right. Then we're going to add a new line. BR. Okay. And we're going to add a description, close new line, and then our price. Let's see how this looks like now. A little trial and error, everyone. That's what you got to do. Doesn't take too much time, just enough time. Okay, now we want to add another break into our item info template. I'm going to add another break here. Break. Refresh. That's much better. Maybe I should add a break up top here. This is me just being finicky, but I mean, you want it to look professional, right? As professional as it can be. So why not? You got to be picky. I mean, this is your baby at the end of the day, right? It's your baby. You want your baby to be the best. Okay, let's add a break there up top. And then maybe we'll just remove the break from the bottom so that there's not too much gap in between the items. Let's try that. Let's see what happens here. 4. Yeah, it's better. I like it. Could it be better? Of course it can be better. I mean, we could make this look so much better. But for the purpose of this video, we're not going to, I just want to show you guys how you can make a marketplace. I'm not going to make the most beautiful marketplace, but it can be done. We can make it look very, very nice. Okay. Shopping carts here. There we go. And now we want a total, right? So let's go ahead and let's add our total. And I think for our total, what we could do is we had our text shopping cart. Maybe we can add total here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna add text, leave it blank here. Excuse me. And then the format, I want to make this format a number. The 1000 separator, yes. Hit save. So now it's text 2. That's going to be our total area. So I'm going to hit add. Within our loop through grid, we should also start a number result total. Okay. And then what we're doing is we're multiplying, we're adding the item price, we're putting the item price in our template, right? But now we also want to add this item price to our overall shopping cart total. So let me say shopping, I'll just put cart total. Don't need to say the full thing. Cart total, that's what we'll rename it to. So let's add this item price to our cart total. Rounding, let's say no rounding, and we'll say result cart total. We want to store it back into our cart total. Add result item price to result cart total. So now it's adding all this. Now we also not only want to update text 1, we want to update text 2, which is our total. So our cart total. Okay. Let's try this out now. See how this looks like. And then for our cart total, let's leave that. Let's put that as a title as well, so it's a little bit bigger. Let's hit refresh. Okay. The reason why I refresh, by the way, if you haven't caught on, it's because every time I'm making changes within this tab, within the designer, I want those changes to automatically update and reflect on the front end. So you must refresh your browser to see those updates come in. Okay. Hit 4, add to cart. Ew. Our total is there, but it's not nice looking. So what I need to do here is I actually need to add section. Put another section here. We're going to say section cart title. And then I'm also going to rename this sec add to cart. Okay. And let's shrink this as small as possible. Let's put this to the left here, and let's add a little left padding. Let's see how this looks like now. Hit refresh. Yeah. We want to text stays on one line. So when you see that wrap like that, and you don't want it to, but you still want it to be as small as possible within its column or within its section, you want to force it to go on one line. So we have the cell that it's in is very tight, but we still want the text to be on one line. So that's where we put text stays on one line. Hit save, hit refresh. All right, that's better. Now we're gonna add our quantity. Much better, but let's actually, I don't know if I like this. I think I might, okay, so first I'm gonna remove the padding. All right, I want no padding on this. But I still don't think I like this. Again, trial and error, everyone. Trial and error. That's what you got to do. Yeah, no. That's not nice. Yeah. What was I thinking? All right. What I could do is I can move this to the far right. Come on. Maybe I'll move this to the far right. And then I also change the text color to be consistent with the shopping cart title. Okay. And then you probably will want to add, when we add to cart, our result cart total, I also want to add a $sign to it. So I'm going to add a character function here, and I'm going to just say join $sign with result cart total, feed it back into the result cart total. We're just saying add $sign to result cart total. All right. So we're just adding a little bit more formatting. Let's hit refresh. Did I not specify? Yeah. Oh, is it because I put it as number? Yes, that's why. Let's say none. Hit save. So what happened there was I set the label to a display format of number, but because I added a $sign with as a text, it's not going to render anything because it's expecting a number and I'm putting in a text. So I just put it back to none. All right. So that way it's going to accept whatever I throw at it. Let's try again. Better. Much better. All right. I want to add some padding to our header though here. So let's put shopping cart title. For the entire section that it's contained within, let's add a top and bottom padding of 1 times. Let's hit save, hit refresh. Okay. Again, this isn't the prettiest, okay? But we can make it much prettier. I have made it much prettier, okay? I've made the design look really professional, okay? As professional as can be, but for the sake of this video, I just want to show you that you can create a marketplace for your customers. That's what we're doing, all right? Maybe we want to have, you want to have your quantity add to cart below, right? Maybe you want it below the shopping cart, right? Maybe you want it like this instead. Sec item details, right? Maybe you want it here instead. Hit save. Right? Let's go like this. Hit 4. Maybe you want it like that. I mean, I actually kind of like this now that I think about it. But I'm also thinking about something. Let's see here. Let's add padding here of 1. Save. Four. Much better. Okay. So there we go. There we have it. We kind of created somewhat of a rough sketch of how we want our marketplace or our order area for our customers to look like. Let's go back here. Can I also specify? Can I move this down to the center? Let's see if this actually shifts everything down, because I kind of do want this to be pushed down a little bit. Let's hit refresh. Yeah. Let's see, 4 to cart. Ugh. Bad idea, Yusuf. Let's go back. Let's just go back to the way we had it. Again, a little bit of trial and error, but you get the gist of it. Now we have our shopping cart. We have our items here. Now, another cool thing I want to highlight before I conclude this video, I think I'm going to have another video to submit the order essentially. And then when you submit the order, it's going to create that invoice transaction. So we'll do that. But basically what I wanted to do as well is I wanted to show you how you can control your items that you want to have appear for your customers. So it can get very, very specific. I mean, if there's customer types that you had for your business and you only wanted certain items that are in a particular category to show up for this particular customer type, we could do that. You can also say, for this particular customer, maybe you have a special or unique handful of customers that should only be seeing this handful of items. We could do that. It's that simple. Method is incredibly powerful where you can set up your own business rules that will feed directly into here. So just to kind of show you an example of that, very simple one. Let's go back. What I also did in my items profile, which I didn't show you, which I am going to show you now, I also have an on portal option here. I mean, instead of calling it on portal, I could have called this in marketplace. So let me hit edit, create draft, just to kind of really drive the idea home for everyone. On portal can be a little confusing, technical. I can say in marketplace. Okay. Hit close. So maybe I don't want this bag of candy in the marketplace anymore. Maybe we discontinued it. Maybe our supplier or manufacturer said, hey, we've discontinued the bag of candy, or we can't give you bag of candies for an indefinite amount of time, maybe 4 or 5 months. You're not going to want your customers to be able to order that bag of candy, right? So as a Method user, you can go in and say, I want to exclude this from the marketplace. Now, when we go back into our order screen, manage, guest order, where is it? Right here, guest order. In our items grid, our catalog that we've created, we're just going to add, not only do we want to see active items, but we only want to see items that are on the portal, right? Which was that marketplace checkbox that I showed you. So we're going to set that to yes. We're going to hit close here. So now that I've actually unchecked this in marketplace option for bag of candy, notice how the bag of candy is there. I'm going to hit save and back here. When I refresh the screen, look at that. Bag of candy is gone. All right. This is just a simple example of the type of business rules that you can set up. It could be very complex, which we could do, or it could be very simple, just like the example I showed you. So thanks everyone. Thank you. I know this was a long video. This is just a one video. I'm going to set up another video to continue this example where we're going to go into cleaning up the screen a little bit more, as well as being able to confirm the order and see that order come in as an invoice transaction for our Method users. All right, till the next one.